All right, everybody, welcome back to Sports Bashes live on 97.3 ESPN up until 6 o'clock tonight. It's a happy hour Friday. We just talked to the PT. Now we're going to get back into some more NFL. Jeff Kerr is back from CBS Sports, and he, like all guests, appears via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. And a lot of interesting stuff. Of course, the Eagles wrapping up their rookie mini camps earlier today. Nick Sirianni, he talked to the media a little bit, but let's get into a couple of NFL news and notes with Jeff. What's going on the Friday show, Jeff?
Hey, Mike, how's it going? Happy Friday.
Yes, man. Happy Friday. I tweeted earlier today, Nick Sirianni back on the field, first time as the Eagles coach. This feels like, ripping open the Christmas presents for that first time.
Yeah, you finally get a chance to see what Nick Sirianni is about. If he's all bark and no bite, or if he has as much bite to his bark. I mean, the guy talks a lot. There's no doubt about that. That's one thing I do like about Nick Sirianni. The guy just seems like he's in love with football, and I think we caught a good glimpse of that today.
Yeah, and obviously his energy, we saw it a couple of weeks ago, and then again today. We see this is a guy who just loves to coach. He just loves to teach, and this is the first opportunity that we're getting a chance to see these guys out in the field. Now, I always talk about you can't, win something now. You can't kind of grab something now, but what you can do, especially like these undrafted rookies or later round picks, Jeff, is you could do something that catches a coach's eye that maybe he wasn't, but he'll say, I want to keep my eye on that guy a little bit more, and you can at least put yourself into position to get more notice once they put the pads on. That's what these days are about.
Well, if you remember a couple years ago, Rasul Douglas kind of caught the eye of Jim Schwartz a little bit early in rookie minicamp. Remember, Jim Schwartz didn't think he was going to be ready to play immediately. He was going to be he was a third-round pick, but it was going to be I don't want to say a red shirt type player, but they didn't think he was going to significantly contribute. And Schwartz really liked what he did that rookie minicamp. And when Sidney Jones got hurt, Ronald Darby got hurt that year, it was, well, wait a minute, we got Rasul Douglas in here. He can fill in the void, and he did that for 10 games. It was very impressive, and Schwartz said it was because he had a good minicamp. He had a good start to his career. We all know what happened after that, but Rasul Douglas, he had a lot of hype going in there thanks to a rookie minicamp about 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, obviously the Eagles only have Zech McPherson, who they brought in to play that position, so a lot of eyes will be on him these next couple of days.
They're asking a lot out of him, too.
They are, and they brought in Nate Metters today, a unsigned free agent. I wouldn't anticipate Eagles fans thinking, what do you know about this guy? Not much, because he hasn't done much, but a guy that plays corner that obviously – is a guy that at a position of need. The Eagles, as we know, Jeff, they're just stockpiling nameless corners. Do we both believe that they're going to enter training camp with this bunch, or is there someone that they get between now and the start of that training camp, or do they wait for training camp, let these guys kind of battle it out, see what they like or don't like, and then go after that Ronald Darby type of trade?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen, Mike. I think what we're going to see is, you're not going to see anything from rookie minicamp. We don't even know if these players are going to come to the voluntary minicamps because they don't have to. And, with all the COVID stuff, although that could change with all the restrictions being loosened. I don't really want to get into that too much. But the mandatory minicamp, I think you're going to see a glimpse of what they have and how they stack up against the offense and, against a guy like Devonta Smith. And, Devonta Smith may be really good, and you can't determine much in shorts and helmets, but at the same time, you're going to know kind of where you stand heading into there. And there are going to be veterans available. Maybe they're in contact with a Steven Nelson. I know them and about 12 other teams are at least talking to him. So maybe they bring in a guy like that, or like you said, Mike, maybe there's someone that they have in mind via trade, but they're going to wait because if, covering the NFL, I know there are a lot of guys around, I would say late July, right when training camp starts, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to be here, or teams basically tell them in their open meetings, look, you're probably not going to start this year. You're getting older. You're a veteran, or, we want to play these young guys, and you're going to have to compete for your job. And some of these players don't like that. So what happens is they become on the trade block, and that's where the Eagles get a hold of them. That's how they got Ronald Darby. It was a surprise move, but then when you read into it, it made a lot of sense.
Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, over at CBS, you ranked the 9 best revenge games that are coming up. And I want to get into some of those games. I think there's a lot of fun matchups that we talked about in week number 1, but everybody's talking about the Brady versus Belichick matchup. And as I was driving in today, Jeff, I thought to myself, it's always like, who is it, Brady or Belichick? But the fact that Brady at 40 years old last year,
43 last year.
43 years old last year, goes to Tampa and wins the Super Bowl with a team that was just average the year before. Like, I feel like that's almost downplayed, the fact that Brady was able to take that team from what were they, 7-9?
They were 7-9 the year before.
7-9 to winning the Super Bowl. And this is the part of it, Jeff. It wasn't like he played at an MVP level. Like, I feel like that is downplayed a lot, is that here's a guy at 43, didn't play his best brand of football, and he still took a 7-9 team and won the Super Bowl.
He's a winner. That's all it is. And yeah, I'll tell you one, Mike. How bad does this make Jameis Winston? Because they couldn't win anything with him, and he had a lot of talent. He threw for 5,000 yards. He also threw 30 interceptions. I think Bruce Arians looked at this situation as, man, we can just cut down on turnovers. We're a playoff team, no doubt, and that's what they were. They were an 11-5 football team, and they just got on the run, and they got hot. They were lucky enough to get the NFC East champion the first game of the postseason, and then they had to beat the Saints. And again, I think with no fans in the stands, it made a huge difference because I thought the Saints were vulnerable for much of the year and turned out that way in the playoffs. But yeah, you're right. It's like Brady didn't really play well. The majority, he played well for a 43-year-old. He played good enough to be a top 10 quarterback in the league, but you never had that stretch where he was Tom Brady, the dominant MVP Tom Brady, but he was very good throughout the year, and he cut down on the turnovers. I thought when the Bucs season changed is when they had the bye week. They had that late bye week. They were able to regroup. They didn't lose a game after that.
And it's funny because yesterday I was talking about Jalen Hurts, that much like Russell Wilson, I'm not downplaying Russell Wilson's skill set and what he brings to the table. But when I think of Russell Wilson, it's Russell Wilson, the intangibles, the leader, what he brings to the team. Before I think of Russell Wilson, the passer, the accuracy, the decision maker.
He's pretty good at that too.
Exactly. But his leadership and all that overshadow, and that's almost how I view Jalen Hurts is, I don't know what kind of passer, his accuracy, or any of that he's going to bring to the table in his career, but I know that his presence is something that wins.
Well, I don't know what it was last year, Mike, but I heard enough last year from people in that locker room that I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like a winning stench or whatever he brought in there, but a lot of the younger guys liked him. And I don't know if it was because they used to work with him at camps or they just knew of him, but it seemed like he walked in there with that winning mentality and that winning attitude. And it just felt like that they couldn't do that with the previous quarterback, or maybe he once had that and he had some other things going on. I don't know. But when Jalen Hurts came in as a starter, everybody was fired up for it. At least that's what it sounded like. I wanted to hear a little more what the veterans think of Jalen Hurts. But, the Jalen Ragers of the world and the younger guys on that team, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, they seem more than accommodating to see what they could do with Jalen Hurts. And they like Carson Wentz too. Yeah. But it just felt like Jalen Hurts was, all right, man, this guy's got some swagger to him. He's got some confidence, and let's go for it.
All right. You wrote at CBS Sports, Jeff Kerr, you ranked the 9 best revenge games. I like this article a lot. Brady, Belichick, obviously number 1. Number 2, though, Buffalo, Kansas City. This is a rematch of the AFC Championship game, October 10th.
I cannot wait for this game, Mike. I'm telling you what, it's week 4, we get Brady, Belichick. Week 5, we get Chiefs, Bills. I thought the Bills played like crap in the AFC Championship game last year. That was not the Bills team that I watched throughout the season. And I even told Bills fans this on Twitter. I was shocked by their performance. I thought Josh Allen played a little skittish, and give Steve Spagnuolo and Kansas City's defense credit. They had a great game plan for him. They put on his own defense, and it was just something the Bills weren't ready for. I just think maybe the Bills were calling the limelight, but there's definitely a revenge factor in there. The Bills are a better team. Kansas City's a better team. And I think Buffalo knows they're the second best team in the AFC, but this is the team they got to beat if they want to go to the Super Bowl. I think we're in for a great football game.
All right, DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt. They're in Arizona, Sunday, October 24th. They'll face what could be a bad Texans team.
It's not going to be a good game, but it's going to be funny leading up to it. What DeAndre Hopkins says about the Texans, or J.J. Watt says about the Texans, if he says anything. I know J.J. Watt, he's a man of many words, but I don't think he's going to trash him like DeAndre Hopkins might. The Bill O'Brien Bowl, I'm calling that game. That should be a lot of fun too. I'll definitely have my eyeballs glued to that.
All right, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. This is a rivalry, but now it means a lot more because the Browns are relevant. It's a Monday nighter, January 3rd, late in the year.
Yeah, that's the thing too, Mike. This is what I've been trying to tell people with this. Like, Browns fans got a little upset I didn't pick the Chiefs. I'm like, well, you can have a revenge. Any team can have a revenge game against the Chiefs. This is a revenge game for the Steelers because the Browns went in Heinz Field and completely embarrassed them last year. It was 28-0 after the first quarter. Pittsburgh literally did not have a chance on the opening snap. Pouncey's snap went over Big Ben's head. That was the end of the game, and that was the signature win for the Cleveland Browns, who got swept by, who got blown out in Heinz Field the year before. They did not get swept. I apologize for that. But that will be a great game in Heinz Field. Steelers fans are going to be loud, and Baker Mayfield and Cleveland are going to make a statement saying, this is our division now.
All right, number 5, Philadelphia, New York. It's late in the year. The Eagles don't play the NFC East after Dallas in Week 3 till way up until Week 12 when they take on the Giants. These two teams, this rivalry seems like it's gained a little momentum.
It feels like the Giants are trying to make it bigger than it actually is right now because they're so upset.
I love it. Eagles, Giants, number 1. Eagles, Giants to me should be the number. This Eagles, Dallas fake stuff. Get it out of here.
Eagles, Dallas thing either. We can talk about this on our podcast later. But I'll tell you what, it's Eagles, Giants to me. I always get mad when the Eagles play the Giants. And, I get tired of hearing about how great Daniel Jones is or how he really isn't, how great their offensive line is going to be. They're not. How great of a coach Joe Judge is. It fuels me up as a fan, growing up. It was always the Giants, and the Giants were good. The Giants won Super Bowls. I respected them. I liked a lot of those teams. But, growing up in this area, you don't like the Giants, and the Giants are really blowing this thing up. I love it. They were a 6-10 team last year, and they hate a 4-11-1 football team. Shouldn't you be shooting for the Cowboys and Washington at this point?
2-7-19. We're a 6-10 and a 7-9. I don't know. I like the proximity. I'm all for the Giants getting this thing back. I love it.
I am too. Congrats to our social media account. I'm happy.
Number 6, Goff versus Stafford. This one should be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. I don't think it's going to be much of a game, but I think Jared Goff's going to play well because he'll be protected with that offensive line. Detroit is one of the most underrated offensive lines in football, and going up against the Rams front forward, that's going to be something to watch. And, Mike, I think Matthew Stafford's going to have a huge year for them. If the Rams offensive line stays healthy, they could seriously go to the Super Bowl. I really believe that. They have so many wide receivers across the board. Their running game is getting better. I don't know. I love that trade for the Rams.
All right, the number 7. These are the 9 best revenge games from Jeff Kerr at CBS Sports. Jeff Kerr is my guest here, of course, on a Happy Hour Friday. Jameis Winston, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, you're assuming Winston's the quarterback with New Orleans, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. He's going to win the starting job, and there's going to be some revenge for Jameis Winston there because his whole team won the Super Bowl, and they replaced him with Tom Brady. So he's going to be a little fired up, and the Saints are going to be fired up because they swept the Bucs last year. And what happened? They lost in the playoffs. This is going to be a fun game to watch. Jameis Winston starting. Hopefully he is a starter. I like Taysom Hill too, but I'm kind of hoping Jameis Winston is the starter for this one.
All right, next up on the revenge game tour, Cam Newton back in Carolina to take on the Panthers, where he once was the MVP of the league.
Yeah, this is going to be an emotional one for sure for Cam Newton. 9 great years there, and in injuries and everything else that happened to him, forced Carolina to cut bait with the guy. And it's only been a year, and he struggled with the Patriots, and now he's going to be fighting with Mac Jones for his job. Who knows if Cam Newton's NFL career could be over by the time this game happens? But I have a feeling he'll want to stick it to Carolina and those guys. I know Ron Rivera's not there anymore. He had a close relationship with him. I know it's a different franchise, but it's still home. That's still the team that drafted you. That's the team you took to the Super Bowl. That's the team you won an MVP with. It's going to be a big game for him.
Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. These are his 9 best revenge games. Colts, Bills, Sunday, November 21st. I mean, 2, Midwestern, Western New York. This isn't the glamour teams.
It was an underrated playoff game last year, too. The Colts had plenty of chances to win that game. All Colts fans I talked to throughout the year, they said, man, we had that game. We had that game. And I agree with them. Frank Reich had a controversial call on fourth down. Phillip Rivers, he played good. He didn't play great. Like, maybe if the Colts would have had, say, a better Carson Wentz last year, I'm not saying 2020 Carson Wentz, they might have won that game. And, we might be talking about something different with the Buffalo Bills. But that was a great game, a very underrated playoff game.
What we have here is Little Caesar's thin crust.
Wild Card weekend, but that's a game I can't wait for.
All right, that is the 9 revenge games. How about one game that is a rivalry game that we won't see this year on Sunday Night Football? The Eagles and the Cowboys, for the first time in over a decade, they will not play. They'll get a primetime game, but it's not on Sunday night.
Yeah, it's really weird, Mike. Every year, Eagles-Cowboys, Sunday Night Football. The only way that can happen this year is if both teams are in the playoff race or fighting for the division title in Week 18. Then they can keep the 12-year stretch. Well, it'll be 13 years this year. But here's an interesting factoid about that, Mike. That is the longest continuation of a game in the Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football series. But between the both of them. Now, Monday Night Football obviously was the main primetime game from 1970 to 2005 before Sunday Night Football took over as the main primetime game. No two teams have ever had the same matchup on that program for 12 consecutive years, Sunday or Monday Night Football. That's an incredible accomplishment. Hopefully it continues. But I got to be honest, I'd rather have Eagles-Giants than Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised, too, because normally Eagles-Giants get a primetime game, too. As we know, the Eagles only got 2 primetime games, one Dallas, one Tampa Bay, and they're both in the first 6 weeks of the year. So the Eagles are basically playing a bunch of 1 o'clock games. Now, that could change because the new flex scheduling also comes into effect, Jeff, right, for Monday Night Football.
That is correct. Well, no, the flex scheduling won't happen for Monday night this year. That will come when the new TV contract out. So Sunday Night Football, it's still Week 5 to Week 18, but that can only go for Sunday games. So Eagles-Cowboys won't be eligible. Eagles-Giants, Eagles-Washington, they will be eligible. And again, I think that's why the NFC East games are so late, because everybody knows that this division, it's going to be tight, it's going to be close, and it may be bad. So, maybe
they might be bad, but they might be bad, but they might have meaning, which means the networks might say, I'll take a NFC East game between 2, 5, and 8 teams where the winner could win the division and put that on over something else.
And when you have top 10 TV markets across the board, it's a win-win for Sunday Night Football.
Right. All right, Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, the NFL, and, of course, check out Jeff's stuff on Twitter and at CBS Sports. At Jeff Kerr, CBS is where all his NFL coverage is. And, of course, he, like all guests on Happy Hour Friday, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. All right, Jeff, have a great weekend, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me on, Mike.
All right, there goes Jeff Kerr here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. We'll close out today's show. And, of course, when we return, the sound of the day. Which guest brought it the best? We'll hear that coming up next.